Hi, on today's episode, we're going to be making a dish called Creme Brûlée. Creme Brûlée's name translates roughly to burnt milk in French, so you're going to add half a cup of milk or heavy cream and a little dash of vanilla extract. You want to stir it up real good in this little pot right here, because you want to get all the things to be very well incorporated. After a little transition right here, we're going to need a bowl of ramekin, 3 eggs, and 1/4 of a cup of sugar. Now, the reason why I recommend a separate ramekin is to prevent cross-contamination between the whites and the yolk, which we are going to be separating in this recipe. Right here, we're going to have a little one-handed egg crack, and we're just going to take the yolk out. Now, this method I use is called the scooping method, where you scoop the yolk out of the whites, and you kind of switch it between one hand to another, in order to kind of separate the thick white, which whose scientific name is albumin. Science there. Now, this part I make a tad bit of mistake. Well, I actually crack this egg in, and I accidentally break the yolk, causing me to only use about half of it in here. Now, the amount of yolks needed in this recipe may vary. Here I technically use 1.5 eggs for this recipe, but you may need 3, you may need 1. You might not even need to use 3, but instead 4 or maybe 5, depending on how many creme brulees you're going to make. So we're just going to remove the ramekin right here, and then we're just going to clean up a little bit. Now, I recommend putting a paper towel underneath your bowls, just so that you won't get your countertop all dirty, and it makes cleanup so much easier and so much more simpler. And now, I'm just going to get a fresh paper towel, place it down right there, and I'm going to take my little bowl, and you want to whisk the eggs a little bit right before you add in the sugar, which is going to be 1/4 of a cup of white plain sugar. Now, powdered sugar powdered sugar can be used, but it's not really the best option. Now, when you're whisking the eggs, you want to make sure it has sort of a liquidy viscosity to it. You don't want it to be too loose, but you don't want the yolks to be too thick either. So we're just going to keep mixing it right here. Now, usually, from the milk from earlier, after you boil it, you want to kind of let it sit on no heat off. Take it off the heat and let it sit for 14 minutes so it can come to temperature. So that way we don't cook the eggs immediately as we put it in there, because that would just result in cooked eggs and milk. After another transition here, we take the yolks, which I've been whisking for a while, and we take the milk, mix it with the vanilla extract. Now you want to whisk it into here slowly, but you want to make sure not to put it in too slowly, because then you'll just be sitting there forever. I just like to whisk it up just a lot, just so I make sure that all the ingredients in it are just well incorporated. And at this time, once you have them all well incorporated, you want to take the little bowl right here, and you also want to take, at this time, you should also boil about maybe 1.5 liters of water, because in this recipe, once you transfer the mixture into a ramekin, like I'm going to do right here now, you also want to transfer the ramekin dish into a separate baking dish that's filled up with boiling water. Now, the reason why we do this is just so that the creme brulee can fully cook, so we can get just a nice custard texture to the creme brulee. Now, the special thing about creme brulee is at the end of the recipe, once it's done cooking, we are going to add a little bit of sugar to the top of it, and we're going to melt it with a blowtorch. Yes, creme brulee. Now, as we put in the water right here, we want to kind of lift up the ramekin a little bit, just so that the little air that's in the bottom of the dish can escape up to the top, just so that the ramekin won't be floating all around when baking in the process. So, I can't remember if I said before, but remember, 325 for about 30 to 45 minutes is the optimal time to cook creme brulee. Now this is the end result, and as always, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. That way you never miss a new video.